Welcome, y'all. This is Stephen R. Orefice, strategic business coach, SRO, the host of the Field of Dreams business podcast. Very excited to be here today. We're located here at the Ford Center, Dallas Cowboys world headquarters, 5 Cowboys Way. We're going live here. I'm very excited. I have my good dear friend here, Staci Wright, who is the CEO of IP2 Market. This is episode number 37. I got one of the top CEOs who have scaled and grown 6 businesses over in the last 20 years and has a very important message to get out to you today as far as CEOs and the way the world's moving. We got some great content moving along. So Staci, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you, Stephen.
Excellent. This has been a dream of mine to be able to do this in person. So here we are.
Here we are. It's a beautiful facility.
Beautiful background and environment, correct? So
yes, absolutely.
It's good to be here with the Dallas Cowboys. So
yes.
SRO Business Coaching Incorporated is here and headquartered. So here we go. So Staci, without further ado, tell my Field of Dreams fans one thing about you that is unique that they normally wouldn't know about you.
I think one of the things that people wouldn't normally know about me is that I am an extreme introvert, and I enjoy my time alone greatly, but I do get out in the public and I do speaking and all of those things, but I really am an introvert, and I don't think a lot of people realize that.
I would never guess, for sure. You hide it really well. Tell us more about how you fell into a CEO role. Give us a little background on you, on those 6 businesses in 20 years. What made you become an entrepreneur? Kind of go after your field of dreams, and we'll start there.
Okay, that's a loaded question. I would say that I knew from a very young age that I would be a business owner. I just didn't know what business I would own. Yeah. I tried to go to college and do the college route, and I just failed at that miserably. And so I thought, I know I'm going to own a business. I just don't know what that's going to be. So for now, I'm just going to go work at a good job. And so I found a good job stuffing envelopes as a 19-year-old, and it was my first real job in the office. It was an insurance agency, and so I just went to work and started doing the next thing that was put in my path to do. And after 9 years of working in an insurance agency and working my way through all of the different positions, I actually ended up starting my own insurance agency. So I started my own insurance agency, had a partner with that, and then after a year of that business, the partnership failed, and learned a lot with that, and then opened another agency, another insurance agency. And that one succeeded in a big way. We were in California at the time, and we specialized in the Indian tribes. So we did insurance for Indian tribes and their enterprises. And that was right when the casinos were going up all over California. So Vegas money was coming to California. We were there to write all the insurance policies. So we really did really well with that one. When I was around 32, I ended up having breast cancer. And I had a 1-year-old child, breast cancer, and realized that doing the service-based business, I could never scale it to a level where I could work less. I was always going to have to be involved. And I wanted to work less. I wanted to be able to take care of myself, be with my kid, my family, and spend more time with that. And so at that point, we decided, let's change focus from a service-based company over to a product-based company. So we thought it was a brilliant idea. We could scale it, sell it worldwide, and just then turn it into a machine, and then not have to work so much. And so we sold the insurance agency when we were at the top, took all that money and invested it into a new company that was a product-based company. And so that was a company called Save Face. We had the world's first and only welding helmet that had a 180-degree lens design. And so with that company, we scaled that to $5 million and then ended up with a lawsuit. And the lawsuit ended up with a total loss, like a complete come apart of my life. So that was business number 3. Wow. And so when that happened, I started all over again with $500,000 in debt as a single middle-aged woman. And it was a big change in my life. And during that time, I did a lot of community service and just became of service to others. Because what I found was I couldn't drink a bottle of wine every night. That wasn't going to be sustainable. And it wasn't the role model I wanted to be for my kids. So going through that much grief, I had to find a way to cope with that loss. And so I threw myself into service, so serving others. So I got really involved in the community. And then a couple years into that, I realized that the charities I was volunteering for weren't solving problems.
Yeah.
We were just putting Band-Aids on problems, and the problems were growing. And so at that point, I decided that my next business venture would be more of a social impact business model.
Okay.
So, using the power of business to solve problems in society, in our social settings, like the mental health crisis, especially the mental health crisis.
Yeah.
So with that, I ended up starting another company, which is IP2Market.
Yeah.
And IP2Market, we are a manufacturing company. We build brands around patented products. And the reason I started that company, the social impact part of that, is that we could have a manufacturing plant and we could provide holistic support for the employees. And we could provide on-site daycare, food for the employees, and then our managers are mental health coaches.
Okay.
So we can actually, I called it like a human incubator.
Yeah.
We can bring people in and get them up to their potential and then send them out on their way. So that was the whole purpose of starting this company.
Yeah.
Since we started it, we got 2 patents, 3 brands, and 4 products that we're working on currently. And the business model is one that I hope will show the world that, hey, we can have a business and solve social problems at the same time.
Yeah.
We can solve the mental health crisis that we're facing.
Mm-hmm.
And so combining the two together in a business model is where IP2Market came from. And from IP2Market, then we've have several brands under that. And so it's just evolved over time. That's kind of my journey into and through entrepreneurialism, where we're at today.
That's amazing. And thank you for sharing that about the breast cancer. I didn't even know that. So to be able to get educated on that, we've been friends and you've been an open book since we met. So I appreciate that. And I see where your heart comes from now, from a lot of the experiences and the passion. And I think you're dynamic because you saw the service side. Now you're onto the product side.
Yes.
So you can speak to many different entrepreneurs. I come from the service side and windows and doors. So I can speak to that, how much energy and effort it takes to keep that business going. So the product side is important to me too, to learn, so I can have both going.
Yes.
So I know exactly where you're coming from. Tell us more about Heart Profit and the CEO push and the compassion feel out there in the world, in the business world specifically, that is weighing on CEOs' hearts right now, that they're starting to feel that tug, they're starting to feel that pull, but they don't know how to be compassionate towards people.
Yes.
And I was blessed as a young man to learn that through sports, as a leader, but some people just don't have that in their DNA, but they want to get there. And whether that's through religion or however they get their fix, how do they bring that to their people? So tell us about Heart Profit, because I love your mission and been to some of your seminars, and I can't wait for my audience to hear this.
Yes, Heart Profit is my passion. It's where what we're finding is that CEOs, business owners, business leaders are getting this ping in their soul, in their heart, and they're saying, wait a minute, we've been taught to keep distance from our employees and to not fraternize with them and to not let our emotions get involved and to not connect with people. That's what we've been taught. But we have this feeling of wanting the connection and wanting to be more connected with our people and to care for them and have compassion in our business. But we don't know how. And so that's where Heart Profit really came from. Is as we're doing this IP2Market business and we're bringing care and compassion and connection with that, I'm also bringing along other business owners that have that desire to now bring that compassion to their business. And we don't know how. We've not been taught. And so Heart Profit is a movement, actually it's a community of business owners and business leaders that want to learn and want to incorporate these practices into their business. And so with the Heart Profit community, that's what we're doing. We're teaching each other because we're all learning as we go, because this is new. Manoush Shafiq, who was the director of the London School of Economics, she said jobs in the past were about muscle. Jobs of today are about brains, but jobs of the future are going to be about the heart. So we're going into a future, a new era of business that we've never navigated before. So it's new to all of us. And so Heart Profit is a community where we can gather and come together and say, hey, this is what I did and it worked. Or hey, this is what I did and it didn't work. Or hey, this is what I'm trying to do, but it's not working because I keep getting angry or I keep getting stressed, and then my heart closes down and I don't know how to have compassion when I'm angry at my employees. So what does that actually look like, and how do we do that? So it's a community of all of us business owners that are feeling that desire and that pull, but don't quite have all the pieces of the puzzle of how to do that.
It's tools in the toolbox. I was a baseball coach for many years, played at Division II level, but my experience was corporate, Fox Television, bright lights in New York City, and the scare and the fear that they instilled in the employees, especially sales assistants like myself right out of college. So you're taking kids right from a college environment, plopping them into a high-level executive vice president floor like this building, but in New York City, could be very intimidating for those types of folk. So learning how to deal with different personalities to get the most out of your people. And that's what I try to bring to my company now when I coach other companies to be able to scale and market on a cleat string budget. So that compassion piece is so important, and I see you do it every day on how you bring it to the people that you integrate with. But what is the secret behind that feeling? How do you get the tools if you don't have them, and who do you integrate with to take it to the next level?
Yeah, those are great questions, and those are the questions that we're answering inside the community. There are thought leaders that have been teaching this for a while, and so they're in the community as well. So we're bringing people that are experts in that with those tools and those skill sets and the how-tos into the community and having that conversation. I just had a conversation with my mentor on Wednesday about this, and she was talking about entrepreneurs and why it's so hard is because we do things, we get things done, and we are problem solvers, and we're used to doing it by ourselves. When we scale, and if you want to scale your business, if you're an entrepreneur going from a solopreneur into scaling, you have to hire people. And this is the biggest learning curve. Business number 4 was CEO Essentials, which was working with entrepreneurs coming from solopreneur into hiring people. There's a huge learning curve with that because entrepreneurs do it themselves. So when you go, then you hire somebody, you're assuming that they're going to do it like you do it. And you're assuming that they know what's going on because you're not used to having another person. And we don't want to slow down. So that's one of the biggest struggles that we have as entrepreneurs is that it takes time to slow down. To invest in knowing who you're employing, knowing about their family, knowing about their circumstances and what's going on in their life. If you can't take the time to do that, you're going to have problems down the road. Right? But if you take the time, but it is taking time. And as entrepreneurs, we're like, I don't have that kind of time. I need to go do something. So that is the biggest hurdle that entrepreneurs have as they scale their business is investing in their people. Because once you hire people, you're no longer an entrepreneur. You're now a manager of people. You're an investor into people. And that becomes your job is human cultivators. But we don't realize that. We still are wearing the business owner hat and moving forward, which we do that too. But if we don't stop and become that if we don't stop and connect with our people, we have a lot more problems because they don't know our vision. And it takes a while for them to understand.
And I think the expectations could be off. What you expect and I expect. I've seen that so many times. And I was blessed because I got to see the shift from brick and mortar to 1099. Working from home, and I was in New York for that global pandemic. VP of sales locked and loaded our systems and our processes out of brick and mortar, and overnight we had to go sales reps working from home and change of sales processes and procedures. So automatically the emotions have changed, and you have to figure out how to manage that on the fly, and that is the most difficult piece. And I've seen it twice happen. To be able to navigate on your feet quickly to keep that company together and allow your employees, this is why I'm doing this show, to achieve their field of dreams so the company can achieve their field of dreams.
Yeah.
And that's where the boat is missed on a lot of these companies, which I'm so grateful for this conversation today, because we're able to dial in and get to the heart, which is the heart of the business, you know, and ultimately will lead you to scale or fail.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good saying to bring in today for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So, I mean, where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years with this community cause? I know mental health is around it, which means a lot to me, going through the pandemic and seeing just people's lives change overnight, and setups and divorces and just people's lives flipped upside down and not knowing how to handle it, and you know, being locked in a house or not able to integrate with people if they're an extrovert, or introverts struggling because their world changed, you know, maybe they have to be an extrovert now to go find business, and maybe their landscape has changed. So what in your opinion, how do you see the future playing out as far as the Heart Profit community, and what do you envision in your mind and your field of dreams?
My vision is for a world where our businesses, all of our businesses, incorporate compassion and connection. And when we do that, it will absolutely change our society. It will absolutely solve the mental health crisis that we're facing. Part of the solution to what we're going through is to connect with others and help each other. And I'll give you an example, but before I give you an example, I want to talk about, I was at a think tank where we were brainstorming on how to solve the enormous mental health issues that we have in our society. And there were people in that room, there was about 75 people. There were people from the police department. There were people from the jails. There were people from the medical community. There were people from the schools. There were people from the mental health field. And then there were a few of us business owners that were there. So we're all in this room and we're all having this conversation. The facilitator says at the very beginning, she was like, they were naming some of the causes of the mental health crisis. She said, one of the driving forces for the mental health crisis that we're facing today is the culture we've developed, the culture of self-reliance. And when I heard that, it made me stop in my tracks. Self-reliance, that was something that was so important to me as a young person. That was something that I drilled into my kids when they were young, is you need to rely on yourself. You can't rely on anybody else. Okay, so now I pause for that and I want to go to a story. In my business, I had an employee that was all of a sudden started struggling. He was not focused. He was not completing tasks. We were really having a hard time. And I stopped and I said, okay, something's going on. Something's causing him to not be able to focus and get through things. So I need to find out what that is and see if I can help him solve whatever problem it is. Because what I've learned is that when we're in a high level of stress, the smart part of our brain goes offline. So we're unable to focus. We're unable to do the things that our smart part of our brain does when we're at a high level of stress. So when I saw the employee struggling, I knew he was stressed about something. So I sat him down. I said, hey, what's going on? He said, man, my car is a mess. It's smoking. When I come to work, it's smoking, and I have to replace a quart of oil every day. He said, I drained my savings account last month trying to fix my car. And now I have a new problem. And he's a single dad. This job is his life. And if he can't get to work, he can't take care of his kids. And he doesn't have anybody else. His family is not there for him. So the culture of self-reliance that we've created, we've said, hey, you're a young single dad, figure out your own problems. He's in over his head. He doesn't have the resources. He doesn't have the help to figure this out. So because I have resources and I have connections and I know community organizations that help with this kind of problem, I was able to say, hey, call this organization and see if they can help you with that. We connected the two of them. They solved his problem. They fixed his car and he was back up and running again and things were okay. But the culture of self-reliance says you can't go to your boss and talk about that kind of problem. You got to figure it out on your own. It's not the boss's problem, which it's not my problem. But if he's not at work, that's my problem. If he's not at work with the smart part of his brain, that's my problem.
Yeah. It's very expensive to hire and train.
Right. So traditional business ownership was you write them up, you give them a warning, you tell them they're messing up, and you show them, you need to do better, and you hold expectations. And had I went that route with him, where would that have gotten us? Right? Probably not where we're at today, which is with connection and care. And now he knows I care about him. He knows I've got his back. He knows that if he has problems, there's resources to help him. He's not in the world by himself anymore. And so if all of our businesses adopt this, then we're going to have people helping people. People are not feeling so alone. And the stress levels go down. And then our brains, our smart part of our brains, come online. So if you have single moms that are working a job that's not paying for their bills, not giving them enough money to eat, they're under a tremendous amount of stress. And so if we can wrap support around them, like we do with IP2 Market, is childcare on site and food and those types of things, it lowers their stress, it increases their productivity, it increases the smart part of their brain. And we're all better because of that. So then they go home and they're with their kids. Their kids' lives are better because their mom's not so stressed out. It's got the trickle down effect.
Yes, it does.
So our businesses can actually absolutely impact change in this area through care and compassion and connection. And that's how I see the Heart Profit movement being the leader and bringing people along on this journey, business owners and leaders, so that we can incorporate this into our businesses, then we can change the society.
Yeah, Staci, you nailed it right on the head with that, because that's a topic that really strikes me, because leaving an open environment for your employees to talk about their struggles, right? I mean, we got so many different avenues today of stress and distractions and things going on, and it's not the same way it was. So we have to make adjustments, and I think people still should ultimately have responsibility for themselves. But I think when they need a specific resource, we have to be there for them, as CEOs and as business owners, because I was one of the 1%ers that was so dialed in and became a workaholic because of survival mode and making decisions that I normally wouldn't have made in good headspace. When the door shuts behind you and you get locked in a home and your life changes, and loss of jobs and new parents and postpartum and you name it, we had it, and so many other people had my experience, but we got to be able to just at least put a hand out and lead those people to the right place. And coming from an Italian Catholic family, we keep our feelings in, and very difficult, when you're watching a family member struggle. But to not step in, you're not doing your job either. So finding the balance there of letting them figure it out, but also, laying a hand out, laying a resource out. And if you can't handle it, let's use our network of people to get them to the right place, just like you did with that guy in his vehicle, because it was one little thing. You took care of his basic needs, and it changes everything. Then they go back to being the all-star that they are. And I found that with myself, when I was under so much pressure, loss of jobs, and I was on a 6-figure income, about to lose that any day because I couldn't enter the home anymore and sell windows and doors. It froze me, and that never happens to me. So people deal with stress different ways, and if they're a high performer or a 1%er, they could just veer, and it could control them in different avenues that they wouldn't normally go. That's not an excuse by any means, but we just have to watch out for our employees. I think if we show them some care, some compassion, the 3 C's, and just hand them to the right person, you set up that person's future. You take care of them, they're gonna feed back into your business 10x. And I was such an important piece to my business. It amazes me that my boss didn't step in, and he saw me crying at work. He saw me, driving to sales appointments with him like broken, because I couldn't handle the stress and the anxiety, So just keep an eye out for your employees. And I'm so glad you brought that out, because that means a lot to me. Because as a guy that, has seen the corporate environment, did door-to-door sales, have been in different corporations, Verizon, and family-owned situations. I've seen a lot of different environments, IT recruiting in New York City, so you get to learn a lot about the environment that you're placed. And if you can create a good, positive environment, the results will always come. And I truly believe that from an athlete standpoint, and from a business standpoint, and from a family standpoint.
Yes.
So it plays into so many different arenas. And it's okay if you get off track, but I think just dragging those people back in and just giving them a resource to go to, you can affect somebody's life for the long term before something goes south. So I just appreciate what you mentioned on that.
Yes, and you know, when we're teaching our employees emotional intelligence and teaching them relational skills and teaching them financial literacy so that they can become thriving, we're actually changing the next generation too.
Yeah.
Because they're modeling for their children something very different than if they were at the high level of stress, not functioning well. And you brought up a good point. When we're at a high level of stress, that's when the worst of us comes out.
Yeah.
We're irrational, we're reactive, our emotions are unbalanced, we make bad decisions, we have unhealthy behavior, sometimes we're destructive. That is high stress. So you imagine our kids that are growing up in environments, if their parents are living at that high level of stress, their brain development is stunted. They're not getting the full range of their brain development. So then they grow up normalizing irrational thoughts and unhealthy behavior.
It happens quick.
So the generation just keeps repeating itself. The cycle keeps repeating itself. So when we're doing this at work, we're not just changing the lives of our employees. We're actually changing the lives of their family because they're going home a different person than they would if they were under high stress. The stress that we have today. And the jobs that we have today and the businesses that we've set up today, it's profit at all cost.
Yes, it is.
Profit at all cost. And that is what's driving the lack of compassion and the lack of connection, because you can't afford that. We just need the profit. And that's why heart profit is called heart profit, because it's not that we're saying profit's bad. We want profit. Profit is good. We just want the heart in it. So we want to value care, connection, compassion at the same level that we do the profit, because you can have both. And actually you can have both exponentially when you're applying it to both, when you're valuing both.
And you could still have a nonprofit mindset and then value the community in that. So I like that you do the heart and also the profit side. So that's where you're not a nonprofit, but you bring the dynamics of it too with the community around you. You know, and I think any place that you can bring those around you and raise them up, I don't care what environment you're in, what you're doing, you're always going to win in that scenario. If only one person is coming out a winner, obviously one person's going to be happy, one person's going to be sad, you know, so both sides have got to win. And that's the way we're moving in 2024. By 2027, 70% of people are going to be 1099 employees. So that's the other piece I wanted to ask you. People have options. And especially if they're high producing sales, I get offers every single day, and that's not to brag, but when you have that type of skill set, I have choices. So if you're that company, you want to keep that valuable employee, you've got to bring things to the table that gives them an environment. It's not always money. You know, it's that comfort of, maybe you guys talked about daycares, right, inside the business, which to me would change the world for me as a single dad now. You know, that would be so important to me. I would take less money if I knew my kids are right next door, right? So to be able to help out single dads and single moms and the other environments, if they are having a mental health crisis situation, can they go to a safe place and talk to somebody? As guys, it's very difficult. You know, we all know that. And it's a challenge. And I don't, you know, I think it should be even across the board. And we got to give resources to people that need them, you know, and I think that's very important. So.
And you bring up a good point, a very good point, that businesses that don't incorporate the heart practices, the connection, the compassion, and the empathy, they are going to have a hard time employing people because employees have choices. And our next generation is not playing the game that the older generations have played. So the greedy corporations that don't want to come along, they think this is soft and we don't need all that heart stuff in our business. They're going to become obsolete, which is exciting to me. It's already happening. So, word to the business owners.
Well, just one quick word. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to bring heart-based practices into your business if you want to survive,
Yeah.
and it's absolute truth.
And you brought up a great point. I mean, it's so costly to do that, and you're wasting expenses, churn and burn,
Yeah.
and you're investing time in people to train.
Yes.
And I see it from a construction standpoint. They want no training. It's either you make it or you don't.
Yeah.
So the person never gets a chance to show actually what they can do
Yes.
with just a little bit of support. And
Yeah.
you miss out on some that could be something so great.
Yeah.
And you go through 10 or 12 times and you lose all that money in investment. And it would have just took an hour or two out of your day, you know, to go work with them and give them the support that they need to allow you to grow your company and grow leaders within your company.
Yeah.
And I have Tommy Mello coming on the show, who's a billionaire in A1 garage doors, but he does specific management programs for his employees to give them a vision on how they can grow within his company and achieve their field of dreams. And
That's
that was
beautiful.
brilliant to me. And I met him in Houston. He's going to be coming on the show, but just his presentation changed the world for me. And I can't wait to hire within my company to be able to do some of the stuff that he's doing and just having more of these conversations.
Yeah.
So it's just so valuable. So Staci, I just really appreciate your time today. I love the friendship that we're growing. I love the business side that you're bringing to our community here in DFW. Tell my listeners here, the Field of Dreams fans, number one, where they can find you, how they can support you, and how they can get behind any of your causes.
Awesome, excellent. So if you want to get involved and you want to start learning how to bring heart-based practices into your businesses, you go to heartprofit.co, and that is our website that lines out how you can subscribe and be a member of this community. We have a private group where our subscribers meet and talk to each other, and this is where we do the education and the support and just sharing our wisdom with each other as we're gaining it as we go. So heartprofit.co is the website. If you want to find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or TikTok, it's staci.renee.ceo.
Cool. Excellent. And you do your monthly seminars?
Yes,
So
we do. We
3
do monthly seminars. We have 3 in person and 1 online. So we have the first Tuesday of the month is in Frisco at 5:30. Second Tuesday of the month is in Dallas, and it's a luncheon. And then the third one is in Sherman, and it's a luncheon. It's the second Wednesday of the month.
Ooh.
And then we have a online version, which is the third Saturday of the month. All of that can
Does your internet work in Sherman? I wanted to make
It
sure.
does.
Do you guys have internet lines out there? Okay.
But there is a space on the website if you want to find those events that'll click through to the Eventbrite that has all of the
Cool.
events.
I want to tell you today, I'm going to offer you one of the conference rooms here if you ever want to use it.
Okay.
So at my office here.
Yeah, that would
so
be awesome.
It'd be cool to bring some people in here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Get them integrated. So thank you all for joining us today. Staci's amazing. She's got a great cause going on. This concludes episode number 37. Make sure you guys reach out, continue to subscribe to the show. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, every podcast platform. And hope you enjoyed the show today from 5 Cowboys Way, Suite 300, Frisco, Texas. So hope you have a great day and continue to go after your field of dreams.